Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently running from the law for shoving a void staff up my ass. And do you hate League of Legends? Now, I'm assuming your answer is either no, no in denial, no but yes, yes but no, and I hate it but no yes. Have you ever wanted to enjoy all the fine beauty that is League without the League? Because that's what I've always wanted to do. So you get for your boys, you know, Friday night after the Dairy Queen shift, you know, you're tired, your face is all greasy, you got speckles of vanilla ice cream all over your apron. I should know, I lived it. And when you have a life like that, you know, League of Legends ain't that bad. When you're going all together and you're having a nice night of League of Legends, you know what? It's totally fine. But a lot of us don't have friends, and because of that, you have to do solo queue. You know, back in the day when I worked at Dairy Queen, you didn't have to flip the fucking blizzard. No, it's just a marketing thing. It was like, oh, the ice cream is so well packed in there that you could turn it upside down, nothing will fall out. And now they make all of you that work at Dairy Queen, they have to make you flip it. I feel so fucking bad for you guys. You're making a banana split blizzard and having to flip that thing without anything coming out. Good fucking luck. I have no idea how you handle that shit. I hate that they changed it that way. I hate most kind of changes, except for, you know, the changes to my merchandise site, now called orchid8.com, with brand new merch like the B-Mode hoodie, B-Mode t-shirt, as well as the restocks of various other items, including a new mug coming out soon for Christmas. That's right, I got you, orchid8.com. I got you. You stepped right into my trap, you plebeians. But those like calming Friday nights are few and far between a lot of times when it comes down to you playing good old solo queue League of Legends, and you have to deal with those bottom feeder people, the low tier, the plebeians, those Z mains, all those kinds of just people that ooze from the guck of society to jump onto your gold promos and ruin it all that day. But at the same time, you still sometimes keep coming back, and that's because League, for all of its faults, has a lot of good going with it. Between its lore, between the character designs and some of the voice acting, and most importantly, a lot of the music and effects and stuff, it's really well done. And if you wanted to get all of that without the pain of walking through the muck of solo queue, we have Legends of Runeterra. All the greatness of League without the League, and a game that has absolutely no right to be as good as it is, and absolutely should not be flying this hard under the radar. See, when I was a kid, I played only a couple card games, but I haven't really gotten into card games in the last decade or so. When I was younger, you know, I played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! I used that card, Pot of Greed. What does it do? And I played a little bit of Magic when I was younger too. I forgot everything I knew about it, but I do remember I played a blue deck, because I guess I like to, you know, kick puppies or something when I was a young kid. But I didn't get into a lot of the online trading card games you have currently right now. Not the Hearthstone, not the online version of Magic, not even some of the side stuff like, I don't know, Slay the Spire or something, other kind of pseudo card games. No, I was none of that. And I thought to myself, you know, maybe I should try that new League of Legends card game. I tried out Valorant, maybe they have a little bit of slang going on here, and immediately I fell in love with it. It was surprising how quickly I got into a game that I had not touched in that genre in over a decade. Legends of Runeterra like sold me immediately, and it just completely caught me off guard. The gist of this video is entirely based around why Legends of Runeterra is a surprisingly great game and has absolutely no right to be this damn solid. And the fact that it is so low on the Twitch charts, and the fact that I see nobody really talking about it a ton, I argue is criminal. I think this game has the potential to be one of the next best or the best online card game currently on the market. And yet, not enough people are giving it a shot for many reasons. One, because you're a League player, therefore you are exceptionally smooth-brained, and you just can't handle playing a card game. Or, and I think this is more the actual reason, is that you don't play League, and you hate League of Legends. Because a lot of people who don't play that game look at it with just this huge air of contempt, and therefore you'll never touch their card game version, when in reality, you really should be giving it a shot. So this video is for the League players who have not tried it and I think should give it a shot. But more importantly, this video is for the people who see League of Legends as just this horrible, horrible tumor on the gaming industry and will never touch any Riot Games products ever again. You really should at least give this one a look. Now, let's blow through this video faster than a person surrenders when Aurelian's soul levels up.
There's fashionably late, and then there's this.
Legends of Runeterra is a card game where you have 40 cards in your deck and you pull it from different regions from the world. Well, what's the world? That is Runeterra. Runeterra is Riot's little fake fantasy world, and there are multiple different regions that you pull cards from, and you can mix and match in order to create a deck that really suits you. The game starts with 20 health in your nexus on the far side of the screen, and units, followers in particular, have different kinds of power and health. Power is how much damage you do, health is how much they can take before they end up dying. How do you win? You get the other nexus to 0, and that's really it. And then when you're out of life points, you die just like in real life. Each round gives you mana, and this mana refills after every single round and constantly gets bigger as time goes on. Now, there's also a thing called spell mana. All the mana that you don't spend will be accumulated into a little spell pool to a maximum of 3 that can only be used for spells and nothing else. The game goes by taking turns playing different cards, whether they are spells or perhaps little followers to add to your board, and it goes back and forth person to person until both players either pass, therefore ending the round, or neither of you have things you want to do anymore. One player, however, gets an attack token, and that alternates between rounds. Whoever has the attack token has the opportunity to go out and just beat the ass of the other person by sending all their followers forward. If you do not have a person to block an attacker's attack, that attack will go straight into your base and do some damage to your nexus. Keep that up, add spells, use buffs, use adjustments, kill a character off if you feel like it, remove all their power so you don't take any damage, recall them back to your opponent's hand. There are all kinds of different kinds of spells that you can use both during the attack and during the play stages of the game. If you played Hearthstone or Magic, this should sound insanely familiar to you. In fact, this should be just complete chump change. But for me, who never played a card game, I was completely lost in the beginning until I played the really well-made tutorials. As you can see, Riot doesn't really have a whole bunch of super brand new ideas when it comes to their stuff. Normally they just take a concept and they really polish it down. They're kind of like Apple or something, They don't innovate a whole lot, but they take a concept and they just polish it out. They make it really well optimized in their kind of way. You can take the exact same example with Valorant to CSGO. Now, when the game gets really interesting, however, is when you add champions and you go from the different regions. Now, for those of you who don't play League of Legends, champions are the main characters you control, and these champions all have their own specialized look, backstory, playstyle, and they all come from different regions of the Runeterra land. In League of Legends, we're at Jesus Christ, what are we at, like 140 champions right now? Legends of Runeterra doesn't have that many, all right? Now they're adding a lot, but that's not that much. But what are the regions these champions hail from? Well, from all the regions in Legends of Runeterra, that's where you build your card decks from. You can have 3 cards of every kind of type, or 3 copies of it, and in the whole lineup of different cards in those regions, you have the associated champions, followers, spells, and so on. And you can mix and match between 2 regions for your deck. If you want to do a full-on Garen only spin to win Demacia deck, go to town. If you want to do a Garen Darius deck to going on with a Demacia Noxus combo, go ahead with that as well. However, you can't do Demacia Noxus Bilgewater. You have a maximum of 2 regions you can take and mix and match from. So what are these regions? Well, Demacia, home of the free, land of the brave. Large, stalwart, ironclad soldiers in proud, gleaming metal with a sense of honor and power, and the protectors of the weak. Unless you are a mage, then hop on this train, bro. Noxus, a warmongering and conquering nation, a single homogenous group that allows you to take multiple people from all kinds of societies that it conquers and brings you all to fight under the one red Noxus banner. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, you can still serve the glory of Noxus. Always true to Kaisar, the Freljord, a Viking-themed, cold, frigid mountain area that has some of the most terrifying creatures such as trolls, yetis, and most importantly, extremely buff women. Piltover and Zaun, a combination of 2 regions. Piltover, the, spot of tea, me lads, high progress area of the combination of magic and metal to create a wealthy, prosperous society, and Zaun, the chemical-ridden underbelly of the poor and impoverished that Piltover constantly step on. sometimes sharply. Ionia, the land of speed and spirits, the more relaxed and more inner what? A place of monks and swordsmen, a place where religion and spirit prosper first. Weeaboo Land, the Shadow Isles. Once the Blessed Isles, a place where spirits come and lament their passing, where they do not move on to their side but instead stay to torture and hate. A land of masochists and sadists and tormented souls. Also home to Thresh's fucking bachelor pad. Bilgewater, a pirate haven of lawlessness. Everything from the fleets of ships moving in and out to the blood-red waters of the slaughter docks and the just as terrifying gambling taverns and inns. Yarhar Pirate. And finally, Mount Targon, a mountain so steep and treacherous, but for those that can climb it will be granted immense power and the will of the cosmos, an area of extremely stalwart, powerful people that live in its treacherous peaks, but also for those adventurers who seek more power than they have. One part cosmic Lovecraftian dragons, the other part runway models. So you mix and match these different regions in their own possible way. For instance, if you wanted to make a deck that was really about a burn deck, where you wanted to burn the enemy down as fast as possible, you want to use a lot of the high damage, quick moving Noxus group, the Grenadier that blows up when he dies, or some of the vampiric aristocrats that do damage to the Nexus when they are hurt themselves. Combine that with maybe Piltover or something, with a lot of their weird gadgets and abilities that cause harm to your enemy's Nexus. You can make a dragon deck filled with all the dragons from Targon, but also a combination of Shyvana and a few others from Demacia. Or perhaps one of my more favorites, a deep deck, the ability to have all the deep sea monsters that lurk below in Bilgewater eventually really arise after you mulligan a large amount of your cards and have Big Daddy Nautilus taking the helm. But what you're really most excited for, I'm sure, is the champions. And don't worry, they do not disappoint. Now, champions are based on a mana system just like everything else is, and they definitely do scale a little bit differently depending on their power. For instance, Teemo is a 1 mana champion. He's super weak. He's 1/1, though he is elusive, which means he can't be blocked normally, which, you know, he's like super sneaky and shit. But Teemo is all about doing mushroom decks. He's allowed to hit your Nexus and he puts mushroom puff caps into your cards. Every time you draw a card that has a puff cap on it, you take the equivalent amount of puff caps it's on into Nexus life points. These are distributed randomly, but you know, if you hit him enough, Teemo can get a lot of mushrooms, and every time you draw, you'll be taking like 5 damage. It can get really crazy. On the other side, you can have a big, beefy guy, like say Tryndamere, for instance. And Tryndamere has a much stronger stat line, but he also has Overwhelm. And you know, if you have a 8 attack character versus a 3 health character, normally it would just block it. But now, because he has Overwhelm, he takes the difference in life points due to the difference in power. So that's 5 life points to your face. However, each champion has a level up. Every champion in the game has 2 levels, and if you meet certain requirements, that champion will level up and become their more powerful form. Going over to Teemo, as we mentioned before, normally whenever he hits your Nexus, he puts 5 puff caps right into it. However, once you put 15 puff caps into it, every time he hits the Nexus, not only will he be at 2/2 now, and he has cool new art, but now he doubles the amount of puff caps currently in your cards. Nautilus is a huge force multiplier for sea monsters, making them cost a huge amount of mana less. So the moment Nautilus is on the field, he just starts summoning these giant high-powered sea monsters like crazy. Aurelian Soul? Okay, listen, the Virgin League of Legends A-Soul versus the Chad Legends of Runeterra Aurelian Soul. Aurelian Soul is the only 10 cost champion in the entire game, and his stat line is laughable. He is terrifying. There is no better combination of Aurelian Soul leveling up and your opponent surrendering. That's the kind of general gist, you know? You go in there, you have the champions in the deck you want to build around, the force multipliers you need, and then you go in there and you try to blast the enemy however you need to, whether it is with giant units or a lot more spells. There's removal, there's burn, there's stun and slow and control decks and all those kinds of things. There are many ways to play it. However, that is just the general gist of it. So why, particularly, does this Legends of Runeterra stand out so much above the rest? Well, it's all about this little country called Polish.
What the is that?
Easily the best and most obviously awesome part of Legends of Runeterra is its level of polish. For a card game, a free card game, this thing looks insane. The artwork is done by a team named Six More Vodka, and while being a wonderful autobiography for myself, that team does an insanely good job with its artwork. Everything from just the most lowly follower to the new landmark system, and especially the champions, so much is done justice. And the card art alone does look really good, but then you click on the card. You know, if you see a card, then you can click on it and check it out, and there's a whole nother world for it. You know, you see little Teemo right there, but then you see the giant nuke he just dropped on the son of a bitch.
Share it, you dumb bitch!
Everything from the followers, and they have little hidden Easter eggs in their card art, to the champions themselves and the level up art itself. Some of this artwork is really spectacular, and for characters you've never even heard of, random Demacian followers, random Shadow Isle spirits, people you've never seen or known, have insanely good card art, and they have the voice acting, and they have the flavor text to back it up. The flavor text though are just, they're so good. They're so good. It is basically different kinds of either descriptions of the character, maybe some lore tidbits, or some cool deeds of honor, but especially the humor. The humor does a really good job, whether it's the Chempunk Shredder, or perhaps maybe the Shell Shocker, the shady character, the affectionate Poro, or maybe the, you know, the swole squirrel. Oh, and we haven't even gotten to the champions yet, all right? Aurelian Soul. And this naturally goes into some awesome voice acting, right? And the voice acting, it does so much justice. There are certain characters that haven't had a voice work update in a while in League of Legends that have a significantly better range of emotion and interesting voice lines in Legends of Runeterra.
The rivers will run red. Wonderful. My cup is half empty. The clot thicken. A vital decision.
Hello, my darlings. I've dressed for the occasion in red.
Behold! My glory!
But even everyone else, from the lowest level of a follower,
I'll take him dead or near in love.
Got something for him? What's science without a little risk? Don't ask where it's from, ask how much. Credit denied!
to some of the bigger boys.
Enough! I'll end this!
We'll take what we want. The rest will burn.
I am Electros, the King's Shield. The age of dragons is begun.
Oh no! Another lost soul!
And even the champions after that.
Come along! There's room for everyone.
To shine like the sun, you must burn like it.
The party has arrived.
Hello, Runeterra. Let's rock!
Oh god, and especially the interactions. There are plenty of those.
You must be Garen.
And I have never seen you before.
Reporting in.
What the is that?
My bird could beat up your boar. Enough squabbling, but Bristle is the strongest and would win.
Dragon?
Fashion disaster.
By my honor, you must die.
Oh no, it's a ward.
Am I under arrest again?
Sometimes I think you like being in cuffs.
I legitimately made a deep deck just so I can hear Nautilus say this particular quote when he levels up. I made a whole deck around that. It's just so awesome. I want to hear it every time I can. It's just so cool. Nautilus is done a lot of justice in this game that he does not get done in League of Legends.
I often describe Runeterra as the most video game card game I have ever played. Everything from the small animations to the big go over the top champion animations are really well done, and the sound design of the game really ties the whole thing together. The way the characters not only have lines with themselves when they come into play, but also dozens upon dozens of voice lines with other lesser played cards and other champions really makes the entire game board feel alive in a way that other games just really don't to me.
It's so bizarre to see characters just have these insanely good voice lines out of the blue. Like the most recent expansion, the one that added Tom Kench in there, you've got Scottish Fish Mafia. Scottish Pirate Fish Mafia. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. I could not make this shit up if I tried. The creativity really knows no bounds, and the voice lines in it just really show how impressive some of this stuff is. And that translates over again to some of the music. Now, the music isn't as prominent there because the music is tied into a cosmetic, but the music in the game is built through the board you're currently playing on. Whatever board you have, it has its own soundtrack. Now, there's the average board, which does have a pretty good theme to it, but then you've got the Targon, you've also got the Piltover board, you have one for each region, and then you have some event boards, especially like the Spirit Blossom one, or they made the KDA one recently. But personally, when it comes to the board themes, Demasia's one is divine. God, I really hope that this dumb son of a bitch that's editing this video will finally get to the goddamn champion level ups. I don't know why he's been taking this long to get to the champion level ups. We all really like the champion level ups, and I don't know what's taking him this long to actually get to the leveling up part. I mean, the champion level ups are pretty cool. I mean, have you seen Swain's level up? Have you seen it? His cock is gigantic. It is so big, and there is the amount of
I don't remember filming this.
He is particularly ready to put it into. If you played Legends of Runeterra, you know that the champion level ups are one of the best parts of it. As mentioned, every champion has 2 stages, 2 forms. And every time they level up, you play this little animation. Now, in the beginning, it started off a little bit, you know, kind of simple, kind of nice, and it's nothing really special. You know, Garen spins around in circles, and I'm like, funny meme, I like you, I kill you last. Lux has her little staff floating around the place, you know. Darius does his big spin, apprehend grab. Some of them look pretty good. But as time has gone on, it's gotten better. It's gotten a lot better.
Blood and salt.
My glory.
Behold the divine power of the sun!
Victory awaits.
Justice is served. Witness my true power!
Wonder at my creations. Come along. There's room for everyone.
Now, it should be obvious that graphics do not make a game. That being said, there does come a point in which pleasing to play, pleasing to the eyes does make a solid difference. I can think about a lot of games that maybe were just fine games, but I ended up playing them a little bit more than I expected just because the act of playing it was rather pleasing. You know, for one example I can imagine is something like Destiny, right? I don't play much Destiny right now. It does have quite a diehard fan base, but between Destiny and I also played a whole lot of Warframe, while I do very much enjoy Warframe, I've always thought that Destiny had a bit more of a pleasing to look at feel. Maybe it's simply because it's a little bit less chaotic with everything going on, but between the UI that's really smooth and how the gunplay feels and the different kinds of enemies and just the font choice, there turns to a point where you really do have just this pleasing nature to it between the way your character moves, the way all the animations go, the enemies that you fight, and also the music that plays in the background. There really can end up being just a certain level of enjoyment you get out of something that just feels good to play. And Legends of Runeterra really does do that to a T. But you can't get the opportunity to experience all of that if you don't unlock it in the game. Which brings us to probably the most important part of this video. How is the monetization system of this online card game?
Oh, I don't require a menu.
Easily one of the biggest turnoffs when it comes to a card game is the monetization system. How do I earn cards in this game? How do I earn packs? How do I play it? And really, it can end up being pretty problematic depending on how the system goes. That being said, I think we may have found the most fair and most generous card game system of all time. By Riot. By Riot Games. Rito has created the most fair, monetization system in their video game. I couldn't make this shit up. You have starter decks to begin with, as most games do, but you also have a rewards tab on your area, and there are different regions from this rewards tab. So whatever region you want to choose, you can click on that region and you can start working your way through that particular region. As you earn experience from either playing games or winning, or more importantly, you have quests that you redo every single day. So you've got daily missions that you can also re-roll if you feel like it. If you don't like it, or you don't have the cards for it, that will give you even more experience. As the experience goes on, that will increase your region and area, and you'll unlock new chests, new cards, and capsules and stuff to keep on getting more cards, particularly from that region. So if you want to play a Noxus region and you don't want to have to roll the dice for random packs to see where you get it from, you can just choose Noxus region and work your way through that one. Now you can have 3 copies of every card, and if you get that card again, it will turn into essence. Any kind of duplicates will become an essence that you can use to buy cards from any region. And you can also, as you work through it, go through wild cards. Now, cards have their own rarity. You have green, blue, purple, and orange. Now, orange is only for champions, so you don't need to worry about that one. But with the green, blue, and purple, it's just kind of arbitrary rarities, if I'm being totally honest. They're not really anything more rare, I guess. And some green cards tend to be way better than purple cards. It really all depends. But when you have these different kinds of wild cards, you can just unlock one of them for free. So if you have, let's say, a whole bunch of essence, you could buy green cards like easy, and blue cards a little harder, but purple cards can be a bit expensive on your essence pool. However, if you have a purple wild card, that's 1 free copy of that card. You got some blue wild cards, free copies of those cards. Same thing with the green and so on. You also have the Gauntlet, and the Gauntlet is a fun little 7-game thing where if you lose twice in a row, you get eliminated, but if you can get through all 7 wins, you get a ton of extra experience, really propelling you through the levels. And you also have expeditions, which you can do twice a week, and they're kind of these fun little like RNG based things. You're forced to RNG, kind of pick and choose a new deck of your own type and just kind of bounce between different kinds of abilities. And it's more just for fun, but you do get extra cards and rewards for completing those. And we have the best one, which is the weekly vault. The weekly vault is easily the best way to do it. If you play this game a ton, or actually not even just a ton, just a decent amount. If you play the game, that weekly vault keeps on growing more and more and more the more XP you get. And if you play like an absolute crap load, you can get to the max level of that vault. And that thing is just stock full of so many cards, tons of chests, tons of wild cards. Normally you get a champion almost every single time if you get really, really high up there, or sometimes even a champion wild card, which allows you to just pick a random champion, which are super rare and helpful. And that alone is a huge boost to your card gating. Granted, it is across every region, so it's not hyper specialized like the regions are, but even so. So you've got leveling up in different regions to pick the cards you want. You've got quests and rerolls to increase it. You've got the Gauntlet for more XP. You've got expeditions for more cards. You got the weekly vault as well, and there are events if you feel like doing them later on as well that come in here and there. Spear Blossom, KDA, etc. Now, can you buy new cards with money? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Have I ever done that? I don't think so. Maybe once. I think maybe I put $10 in there one time because I was missing a champion that I wanted. That's probably the only part that's kind of hard, is the champions. Earning champions does take a bit more time than the rest because they cost 3,000 essence, which is actually quite a lot of essence, or you have to get them in certain ways. Now, it's a lot easier if you want to roll through it in the region specifically, and it's a lot easier with your weekly vault as well. But if you really want to blast through it a little bit quickly, you might want to put, a little bit of money down, because that's what I did for that. That being said, normally, if I ever did buy any cards, it was with leftover money that I used to buy cosmetics like boards or emotes or pets or something of that nature. I almost never, besides that one time, actually spent money to buy cards in this game. It is insane how fair this system is. The fact that I can spend this much time and I can unlock so many cards just through virtue of playing the game. And granted, I'm not super well versed in the whole card game universe, but for me, it is just so impressive how much you can get by just playing it, especially because it's on your phone as well.
While Riot wants our money just like every other one of these companies does, what Riot has done with Runeterra really shows that they want to get $10 from 100 people as opposed to $100 from 10 people. They've monetized their game in a very fair way that is unfortunately novel in the industry. It shouldn't be atypical that you give a company money and then get exactly what you want from them, but ever since Hearthstone became the major digital player, it's kind of normalized the idea that you don't actually know what you're getting what you pay for in these digital card games. They took that gambling-based loot box model from paper card games and they imported it to digital, and for whatever reason people have just accepted that as the norm, and it's amazing that Runeterra has broke that norm and is willing to just sell us exactly the cards we want at fair prices.
Now, where was I?
Continuing this trend of quality, we have the ongoing theme of Legends of Runeterra, particularly with the new expansion packs and such, as well as the competitive events that they just recently added. The expansion packs come out generally with a new region, and they tend to be pretty hefty. The most recent expansion was the Targon expansion, the Mount Targon, a brand new region with a whole bunch of brand new cards, and it came out with a bunch of champions between Diana, Leona, Tarek, and Aurelion Sol. However, normally when they come out with a new region, it doesn't mean the rest of the regions are just kind of left in the dust. They also added Lulu to Ionia and a bunch of new cards there as well, and Nocturne to the Shadow Isles and new cards there as well. And they also added a whole bunch of new mechanics to the game. They added Daylight and Nightfall. Daylight, or I think it's Daybreak, is where the first card you play, if it is a Daybreak card, it gets a special ability every time you play it the first time per round. And then a Nightfall card only works if it's the second card you play during that round. So you get a little bit of the Diana Leona combination right there. Then they added the Invoke ability where you can pick a celestial card and invoke these special celestial god creatures using certain kinds of attributes from some of your priestess and stuff. But then they added another mini expansion directly after that to really solidify it. They added Soraka to Targon as well. They added Tom Kench and that Scottish pirate fish mafia to the Bilgewater area with a whole bunch of these really interesting like damage themselves cards with the weird fish mafia and, you know, Tom Kench, and it's Tom Kench. And then they also added Shyvana to Demacia, and not only does Shyvana's artwork do her way more justice than it does in League of Legends, but they added a whole bunch more dragons to multiple other regions, not just Targon. They added the landmark system as well, these special kind of landmarks that have these crazy abilities like healing you for Soraka, or perhaps killing units and spawning new ones for the Shadow Isles, or even better, my personal favorites, the Noxian Fight Club. But we still have multiple other regions to be added. It's rumored that either Shurima or perhaps the Void will be coming next. There's also Ixtal and Bandle City, which are areas that don't have as much lore to them, but they're still options for regions. But particularly Shurima, having the ability to have a champion like Nasus that stacks up maybe with kills, or perhaps good old Azir that can create sand soldiers to block people. Or you can move on to the Void, Cho'Gath, Malzahar, Kassadin, Kaisa, probably Kaisa because, you know, she's the cash cow now, Vel'Koz. Oh yes, please. Personally, I'm the most excited for a Kayle edition. I want to see Kayle being added to Demacia and her just having this insane late game ramp. Some kind of like, you get more and more powerful as the rounds go on and she just becomes this unkillable demigod. However, the real good shit comes from the competitive scene. Legends of Runeterra has added a brand new in-game competitive bracket gauntlet thing that they're doing every single season. It's about every 2 months, give or take. And so every 2 months, whenever a season happens or occurs, they will be holding the main tournament. How do you apply for the main tournament? Well, you gotta have an esports organization, you gotta have your names out there, you gotta partition Riot, League of Legends stuff. None of that. If you are in the top 700 players in your region, you get in automatically. Bomb, you're in. Now it has a total of 1,024 players from every single region. The top 700 are the ones in the highest bracket, the masters or whatever. However, what about the other 324? Well, they can give it their own shot. You know that gauntlet I mentioned before? They have a new gauntlet, a last chance gauntlet. And that gauntlet is used to have you qualify for said tournament. So if you are maybe not in masters, you don't have enough time to play or something, but you are damn good, you can qualify by being part of that tournament as well. All in-game, no need for any esports orgs or any of that crap. And then what happens? All of you get together and then you play in that gauntlet. You have, I think you need 3 decks, and then your opponent can ban one of your decks, and there's a prep phase and all that kind of stuff is happening, right? It's a whole system. As it whittles down, you get down to the top 32 players, and every single one of those 32 players will win some kind of cash prize. Once all 32 players have done their games, the winner gets 10,000 US dollars, which you might think, what the hell, that's nothing compared to League of Legends especially. Agreed. However, considering that it's every single 2 months, you don't have to be part of an organization. You can just be Joe Schmo in your basement who's really goddamn good at the game. And that $10,000, especially in other countries where the currency exchange might be a little bit more favorable to them, can actually mean a lot for some people. I can't even imagine what it's like to be living in a country where 10,000 US dollars is actually double or triple its worth. And this happens every single 2 months.
One thing that Riot's doing especially well with their esports surrounding Runeterra to start is that they're investing in technology that's fully in client, as opposed to running ad hoc tournaments on third-party websites. Everything that we're going to see with Runeterra's esports look like it's going to be handled very quickly and nicely in the Runeterra client itself, which is awesome to see.
Like, I can't imagine how awesome this is. I'm imagining myself as a kid who's maybe either down on his luck or his family maybe just isn't very wealthy. They're a bit poor or something. And, you know, he's just really good at this free card game. And he plays it on his phone or, you know, an old crappy computer, because this game runs on a potato, if I'm being totally honest, which is awesome. Riot's pretty good at that. But then he's just really damn good at this. And then he rolls up and he gets like first or second place and he gets thousands of dollars. And it's so like heartwarming, because no esports organization, no needing to go out for tryouts. No. If you're that good, you're that good. You can get part of it. It's so cool. I'm fanboying really hard about this because I know I'm never gonna make it. I'm not good enough at card games. I'm never gonna reach it here. But for the other people who I can imagine are that damn good at these card games, oh, it's so exciting. This competitive thing is, honestly, I think should pave the way for large amounts of other smaller tournaments and other games. You don't have to make it like the big crazy tournaments for so many different kinds of other sports, things like, you know, maybe say Rainbow Six or something. But if you can run in-game smaller team tournaments or solos in different games this way and have smaller cash prizes, not only is that really fun as a spectator sport, but it's also really good for the people who maybe don't have the money or who don't have the time or the ability to be a part of an organization, and you can have these younger kids or just people who might be down on their luck who could make a bunch of money doing this kind of thing, and it's just so exciting. And I love it. It feels awesome.
Good luck. Have fun.
In conclusion, Legends of Runeterra has no right to be as good as it is. And it has no right to be as under the radar as it currently is right now. I'm seeing the Twitch viewer counts and stuff, and it makes me sad because this game is incredible. Okay, it is incredible. It is surprisingly well balanced. Naturally, it's a card game, so there are always issues for it. But it's fun, both for the Timmy in me. I really am probably a Timmy player. I just like doing fun, crazy stuff, and I have a great time with it, even when I lose. I love the monetization system. The level of Polish is so incredibly good. And honestly, I'm just kind of impressed. I didn't think Riot had it in them to make a game this damn fun, this damn good, and a competitive scene that feels this healthy. If you're like a big streamer or something and you came across this video, you know, you're like a really big YouTuber or streamer, and you're just like, hi, I'm Bricky. Nice to know you. Sub for sub. Please give this game a shot. Please try streaming it. Maybe go ahead and make a video or two about it, because it really is that fun, and I'd like more people to share the passion and my new current vice. Well, that and Warhammer, but another one of my current vices that I'm really damn enjoying. It is fair, it is beautiful looking, it is fun, and it is underrated, and more people really need to get into it. It is truly all the greatness of League without the League. A perfect combination. Thank you all very much for watching. I want to give a quick shout out to a company that actually watched my Darkwood video, and they sent me a physical copy of Darkwood for the Switch. I'll leave their stuff in the description as well, because they sent it to me for free, and naturally I need to disclose that. But it was really kind of them, because I guess they just saw the video and they said like, hey, you like Darkwood? You want a copy of this for the Switch? I'm like, hell yeah, I want a copy of this for the Switch. So I got Darkwood for the Switch now, and it's really, really cool. So you should check them out. They were very kind about it, and they were quite nice to, well, I guess I didn't really work with them, but you know, they were really cool. Anyway, for the time being now, I'm changing things up a little bit. I got some Q&A questions that I want to run around with, and so let me get to that. So Bricky, about how much time goes into the behind the scenes of your videos, script recording, editing, etc.? It takes me a couple hours to write the script. I'd say about 3 to 4 hours, but it entirely depends on what kind of video I'm making, depending if it's really long or really short. Editing takes me normally about 1 day for every 30 minutes. And by 1 day, I mean about like 12 hours of editing on the actual computer, maybe a little bit longer. So this video ends up being like 30, if it's like 45 minutes, then it'll probably take me about like 16 to 18 hours. Then you have about an hour for render, an hour for upload, and then of course I need to do all the socials and stuff like that. And there's recording it itself, which takes around an hour, give or take, because I mess up and I have to say my things again. But I don't know, it really depends on the video. Some that are more in-depth, like the Warhammer videos, took me multiple days to finish. Those were insane. But where like the Warhammer video game one, for instance, I recently did, I was mainly just finding footage of the games, and so it was a lot easier for that, because you know, playing through all of them for that would take way longer. So it was better to kind of just splice some footage in there that I found. But yeah, it tends to take a bit of time. It just depends on the topic. Hey Bricky, what parts of your day have changed since getting Pebble? What things are hard to do because of that? Oh God, the hardest part is the fact that we have to wake up at like 6 a.m. to 6:15 a.m. to walk him, because he has a little corgi, and little corgis have tiny little bladders, and since he's in his little like playpen area, he doesn't want to pee or poop in there because it's like his zone. So he's constantly like scratching and pushing the thing to be like, I want out, I gotta pee, and it wakes us up at that morning. But I guess it is good because then we get up earlier. But now I'm going to bed at like 10 every day, and I feel like such an old man. Sup, Bricky? What do you personally think is the most important aspect of a movie or video game? For example, many people say the story is irrelevant and doesn't matter. Others say the story goes above everything else. What's your opinion on the seemingly never-ending discussion? Well, if it's a video game, gameplay is king. Even if the story sucks, gameplay is entirely the most important thing in the game. That being said, you know, it depends on how you run the story. Like, for instance, I did very much like the gameplay of The Last of Us 2, but the gameplay did not completely win me over from that game. That game still brought a lot of frustration. But that could be because it was the sequel to another very big story-based game. For instance, let's go with Spec Ops The Line, for instance. Spec Ops The Line's gameplay is kind of mediocre, but the story elevates the game to a whole nother level. Whereas the story of, say, Doom or something it's fine, something crazy good, but Doom's gameplay is so goddamn great that it elevates the game in its own right. Or Metal Gear Rising, for instance, because I remember you said that you played that recently. The story of Metal Gear Rising is, if I'm being totally honest, not great. It's kind of a meme, it's kind of mediocre, but the gameplay, music, boss battles, and stuff just makes it elevated. So it really depends. I'd say gameplay is king because I'm going to be spending the most amount of time with that gameplay. That being said, naturally, I would say a good story can outpace good gameplay and vice versa. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. I have no idea what my next video is going to be. I will let you know when I make it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.